So moving on to the monitors. So as you can see behind me, I've got two computer monitors, and then I have a broadcast reference monitor. Now personally, I feel if you're working professionally and you're delivering professionally, you really should have a full-on broadcast reference monitor, even if you're just working on internet-based projects. Well, I'll talk more about that in a second. Let's start with the computer monitor. Now, here we run Dell ultra-sharp monitors. These happen to be 24-inch right here, and then there's an older Apple monitor right next to it. Now, to me, you do not want to cheap out on that computer monitor, especially your main monitor. The one that you're going to stare at all day that has the interface on it and your editing and everything like that. When you get the cheaper monitors, the text is not as sharp. And you're like, well, who cares because I'm editing video? Well, the text is what you're reading. And all those little lines in the interface of what you're looking at. And if that's fuzzy and you're looking at that all day, your eyes get tired. So at least the primary monitor, you want to spend some bucks on that. And when you go look at monitors in a store, don't look at video. Bring up text. Bring up a Word document. Bring up something and look at how sharp the text is. That actually tells you more about the quality of the monitor than even just the video. Because again, that's why I have the reference monitor. I don't really care how the video looks on the computer monitor. What I care is just crispness, sharpness in the interface. Because the interface is what I'm staring at if I'm running Premiere or Final Cut Pro or After Effects or Smoke or any of that stuff. You're reading a lot of text. And you're looking at a lot of very thin lines. And you're going in and you're manipulating little tiny keyframes. You want to be able to see that cleanly. And you're going to stare at that for 8, 10, 14, 16 hours. You want that main monitor to be sharp. The second monitor, you're just going to throw your bins and all your clips on there. It can be a cheaper monitor because you're not looking at it as much. That's why I still have this Apple monitor. It's about like 4 or 5 years old, but it's good enough for bins. This one, however, this is only a year or two old. I replace them about every 3 years because after about that, they start to go and then they're not as useful anymore. So you want to get at least, to me, at least a 24-inch monitor. And if you are editing a lot of video, you really want to have a dual screen configuration. It just makes it that much easier. So you can put, your main interface and everything on the main monitor and then have all your bins and stuff on the secondary monitor. Now, the broadcast monitor. Why should you have one of these there? Well, the thing about something like this is a Flanders Scientific. This one happens to be the LM2460W, and it is considered a grade 1 reference monitor. Now the thing about this monitor, once the colors are set, and they're set the way I want them to be, they don't change. They don't change for a good, 6 months or so. And they are fully accurate to whatever standard we've got them set to. Rec 709, SMPTE, PAL, digital cinema projection. We can set these up with LUTs, lookup tables. And I know that when I set this up to a lookup table, it's absolutely correct. When it's set to a setting, it's absolutely correct. It's not the panel, it's not the front that does it. It's all the electronics behind it. And that Flanders Scientific sets up these monitors to display the color absolutely accurately. A lot of people get confused because they're like, well, the panel on the front, the thing that's actually making the picture, a lot of people use that same panel. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people do. But it's the electronics they put behind it to make sure that the colors are accurate and that those colors hold for a period of time, not just for a couple of days or something like that. Yeah, you can put your little spiders and you can do all kinds of stuff to calibrate a monitor like this Dell to make it look correct. But for my money, I want a good reference monitor so that I know that color is absolutely accurate when it leaves here. Now, even if you're working on the web, people are like, well, I'm just working on the web, so it doesn't matter. Well, do you know how this monitor is even set up? Have you gone in and tweaked it and made it look different with the settings and all of that? Do you know what's truly accurate color on it? It's not just factory default. And it's not one of those little presets that's like, oh, cool, warm, whatever. Now, there are very specific colors that are set by engineers and very smart people all over the world who say this is what the color should be. Now, if you've just gone ahead and played with this and now you've gone ahead and delivered your video and your client's like, wow, the video, it's so red, it's so blue, it's so dark, it's so bright. What's wrong with it? You can say, well, it looks good on my monitor. Well, that's fine and dandy, but how is your monitor set? If I say, well, it looks good on this monitor, then I know that to true broadcast reference standards or to digital cinema standards, I've delivered the absolute correct color. And you know what? We find that when we color grade to these monitors, it looks better on the internet than if we just do it based on, the internal reference color. So, and you want to make sure that when a client says, well, I'm not sure, the video doesn't look correct here, then you can say, well, it's probably the way your monitor is set up. because when I did it here, I did it to full technical specification, and that video looked absolutely correct when it left here. It's one less argument that a client can throw back to you. So, computer monitor, broadcast monitor. Don't skimp on the computer monitor because you're going to be staring at that thing all day. And I still recommend that you have a broadcast monitor in your shop. One of my favorite pieces of equipment that I've actually been using since 1996 replaces this. It's this, a Wacom Tablet. I know some of you are thinking, well, you know, if I'm doing a lot of Photoshop, I really need that. No, every single thing you do with the computer, you can do with this and this, a pen. Now, what's so cool about the pen? Well, first of all, it gets rid of carpal tunnel. You know, I don't know about you, but after using a mouse for even an hour, my wrist starts to hurt. I don't know how you guys do it, doing it all day. If I have to use a mouse all day, I actually have to ice down my wrist because it's hurting so bad. Like I said, I've been using this since '96. I hate using a mouse now. But basically, you know, yeah, so with Photoshop, I can go in there and I can start drawing and I can do all this fun stuff, right? But when you're editing, you can get very finite control of keyframes and masking and drawing masks and drawing shapes and everything that you do with a computer. You can do much easier with a Wacom tablet once you get used to it. You got to give yourself about a week to get used to it because everything is relative with it. These four corners on the tablet are actually the four corners of the two monitors. This is the entire workspace of those two monitors. So as I move across, the mouse just jumps to where I want it to go. So the pointer just right here, I just start drawing. If I come over here, I'm over there on that other screen. As you can see, I'm moving things around. I don't have to do that mouse shove things across to get from place to place. Even the eraser works. I come back over here to Photoshop. There we go. And I start erasing stuff. It's cool. It's easy. Now, if you're using a dual screen configuration, I recommend you get at least a medium size. That's what this is right here. If you're doing a single screen, well, you can get a smaller one if you want. I do like the medium size because it allows you to zoom in and really get into precise and finite control. There is a larger tablet than this as well. And then, of course, if you really want to go all out, some people like what's called the Cintiq, which is actually the screen and you draw on the screen. Now that is very, very expensive. I don't find the need for that, but I know editors who use it, they love it. And some animators and graphic artists, they love to have that screen. You're literally drawing on the screen. There's also like some of these buttons and controls over here, so you can have quick shortcuts and whatnot. You can actually set these based on the application. So if you have some keyboard shortcuts that you're always doing, you can do that, or you can zoom in and zoom out with the little scroll wheel here. So if you want to save your wrist, if you want to be more efficient, to me it's much more efficient to use a tablet like this, invest in a tablet. And you can take this anywhere you want to go. I mean, just to install it onto a Windows or a Mac machine, just put the drivers in and you can use it. So if you're a freelancer and you go around to a lot of shops, you can actually just take it with you. So save your wrist, get yourself more efficient, and be able to have fun drawing with a mask.